By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to turn small amounts of money into a massive fortune using the single most powerful force in finance, and you will have a step-by-step plan you can start today with as little as $5. I am not exaggerating when I tell you that what you are about to learn has created more millionaires than any business strategy, any inheritance, any lottery win in human history. Einstein allegedly called it the eighth wonder of the world, and whether or not he actually said that, the math proves why someone would. Here is a number that is going to rewire your brain. If you invested just $100 per month starting at age 25 and earned an average return of 10% annually, by age 65 you would have over $637,000. But here's the part that will make your jaw drop. You only contributed $48,000 of your own money over those 40 years. The other $589,000 appeared out of thin air. That is not magic. That is compound interest. But before we get to the one strategy that most financial advisors never tell their clients, one that can literally shave a decade off your wealth-building journey, and that I wish someone had told me when I was 22, let us start with the fundamentals that will make everything click. In today's video, you are going to learn the exact mathematical formula that makes compound interest work and how to use it in under 30 seconds. You are going to discover the 3 critical variables that determine whether you retire rich or retire broke. And you are going to see real money examples comparing what happens when you start at 25 versus 35 versus 45, with numbers so specific you will never forget them. Quick, if you have ever felt confused about how investing actually grows your money, or wondered why some people seem to build wealth effortlessly while others struggle for decades, hit the like button right now. It tells the algorithm this content is valuable and helps us reach more people who need to hear this. Let me paint a picture of the problem most people face. You work hard, you earn money, you try to save what you can. But every single month, it feels like you are running on a treadmill going nowhere. Your savings account pays you maybe 0.5% interest, which means your $10,000 earns you a whopping $50 per year. Meanwhile, inflation is running at 3 to 4%, which means your money is actually losing purchasing power while it sits there. You are literally getting poorer by saving money the traditional way. The average American retires with about $255,000 in their retirement accounts. Sounds like a lot until you realize that at a 4% withdrawal rate, that provides only $10,200 per year to live on. That is $850 per month. Try paying rent, healthcare, food, and enjoying any quality of life on $850 per month. This is the retirement reality for millions of people who worked their entire lives but never understood the concept I am about to explain to you. The tragedy is not that building wealth is impossible. The tragedy is that building wealth is actually simple once you understand this one principle. But nobody teaches it in school, parents rarely explain it, and by the time most people figure it out, they have already lost their most valuable asset, which is time. But here is what nobody tells you. The reason compound interest feels like magic is because human brains are wired to think linearly, not exponentially. We can intuitively understand that if you save $100 per month, after 10 years you will have $12,000. That is linear thinking, and it is correct. What we cannot intuitively grasp is that the same $100 per month invested properly does not just add up, it multiplies. And that multiplication accelerates over time in ways that seem almost impossible until you see the actual numbers. Let me explain compound interest in the simplest terms possible using an example you will never forget. Imagine you loan your friend $1,000 and they agree to pay you 10% interest per year. After year 1, they owe you $1,100. Simple enough. Now here is where the magic begins. In year 2, you do not earn 10% on your original $1,000. You earn 10% on $1,100 because that interest from year 1 is now part of your principal. So year 2 earns you $110 instead of $100. After year 2, you have $1,210. Year 3, you earn 10% on $1,210, which is $121. Your annual earnings keep increasing even though you never added another penny. By year 10, your $1,000 has become $2,593. By year 20, it has grown to $6,727. By year 30, you have $17,449 from one single investment of $1,000. Here is where most people get this wrong. They look at compound interest as a nice bonus, a little extra money on top of their savings. That is completely backwards. Over long time periods, the compound growth becomes the majority of your wealth, not your contributions. The fix is simple. Stop thinking of compound interest as a feature of your investments and start thinking of it as the entire engine of your wealth-building strategy. Every financial decision you make should be filtered through one question. How does this affect my compound growth? Stop. Before I continue, this next part is critical and it changed how I think about money forever. There are exactly 3 variables in the compound interest formula, and understanding how they interact is the difference between retiring at 55 with $2 million or working until 70 with nothing. Variable 1 is your principal, the amount you invest. Variable 2 is your rate of return, the percentage your investment grows each year. Variable 3 is time, how long your money stays invested. Here is the counterintuitive truth that wealthy people understand. Time is exponentially more powerful than the amount you invest. Let me prove it with real numbers. Person A invests $500 per month from age 25 to 35, then stops completely. They invested for only 10 years, contributing $60,000 total. Person B waits until 35, then invests $500 per month every single year until 65. They invested for 30 years, contributing $180,000 total. At a 7% annual return, Person A ends up with $602,000 at 65. Person B ends up with $566,000 at 65. Person A invested 1/3 the money and ended up with more. That is the power of starting early. The mistake 80% of people make is waiting until they feel like they have enough money to invest meaningfully. They say things like, "I will start investing when I make more money," or "I will start when I pay off my debt." Meanwhile, every single year they wait costs them exponentially more in lost compound growth. The fix is radical simplicity. Start today with whatever you have, even if it is $5. The habit and the time in the market matter infinitely more than the amount. This next section changed everything for me when I first understood it, and I need you to pay close attention. Most people think of compound interest as something that happens inside one investment account. Your retirement fund grows, great, compound interest is working. But truly, wealthy people apply compound interest thinking to every financial decision. Let me show you what I mean with a real example. Say you are paying 18% interest on a credit card with a $5,000 balance. That is compound interest working against you. You are paying interest on your interest. Every month you carry that balance, you are not just losing the interest payment, you are losing the compound growth that money could have generated if it were invested instead. Here is the math that will haunt you. If you pay the minimum payment of $100 per month on that $5,000 credit card at 18% interest, it will take you 9 years and 6 months to pay it off. You will pay a total of $11,400. That is $6,400 in pure interest. Now imagine instead you had no debt and invested that same $100 per month for 9.5 years at 10% returns. you would have $19,700. The total cost of that credit card debt is not $6,400. It is the $6,400 in interest plus the $19,700 you could have built. The real cost is $26,100. Most people get this wrong by treating debt payoff and investing as separate decisions. The wealthy understand they are the same decision because every dollar has compound potential in either direction. The fix is to calculate the compound opportunity cost of every purchase made on credit before you make it. I need to pause here because this is where most people go wrong when thinking about rate of return. You might hear that the stock market averages 10% returns and think that means you will get 10% every year. That is not how it works, and misunderstanding this causes people to panic sell at the worst possible times. The market might return 25% one year, negative 15% the next year, 8% the following year, and 30% the year after that. The average over long periods works out to around 10%, but individual years are a roller coaster. Here is why this matters for compound interest. If you invest $10,000 and lose 20% in year one, you now have $8,000. If you then gain 25% in year two, you have $10,000. You might think you are back to even because you lost 20 and gained 25, but 25% of 8,000 is 2,000. You now have $10,000, which is exactly where you started. You needed a 25% gain just to recover from a 20% loss. This is called volatility drag, and it is why consistent returns beat high average returns every single time. The mistake most people make is chasing the highest possible returns without considering consistency. They jump into speculative investments hoping for huge gains, experience a major loss, and set their compound growth back years. The actionable fix is to prioritize diversified index funds that provide steady, reliable growth over trying to pick winning stocks or time the market. If you have made it this far, you are already ahead of 95% of people, and what I am about to share in this next section is the most valuable part of this entire video. Do not skip it. Subscribe to Wealth Decode Plus if you have not already. We drop a brand new money strategy every single day at 6 p.m. Hit that notification bell so you never miss one. Let us talk about the difference between nominal returns and real returns, because this is where most financial education fails you. When someone says the stock market returns 10%, that is the nominal return. It does not account for inflation. Inflation in the United States has averaged about 3% over the past century. That means your real return, your actual increase in purchasing power, is closer to 7%. Here is why this matters with a concrete example. If you invest $100,000 and it grows to $200,000 over 10 years, you have doubled your money nominally. But if inflation averaged 3% over those 10 years, the purchasing power of $200,000 in 10 years is equivalent to about $149,000 in today's money. Your real gain is 49%, not 100%. This is not meant to discourage you. Even 7% real returns will make you wealthy over time. It is meant to help you plan accurately. The mistake most people make is planning their retirement based on nominal returns and then being shocked when their money does not stretch as far as they expected. The fix is simple. Always do your compound interest calculations using real returns of around 7% for stock investments. Build in a 3% inflation assumption for any future spending needs. This gives you a realistic picture of what your money will actually buy. But here is what nobody tells you about the power of increasing your contributions over time. Most compound interest examples assume you invest the same amount forever. But in real life, your income grows. If you increase your monthly investment by just 3% per year, matching typical inflation and salary increases, the results are dramatically different. Let us compare two scenarios. Scenario 1. You invest $300 per month for 30 years at 7% real returns. You end up with $340,000. Scenario 2. You start with $300 per month but increase your contribution by 3% each year. After 30 years, you end up with $465,000. That is $125,000 more from small annual increases you probably would not even notice. Your final monthly contribution in Scenario 2 is $728, which is less than 2.5 times your starting amount, but you end up with 37% more money. The mistake people make is setting their investment amount once and never revisiting it. Every raise, every bonus, every paid-off debt is an opportunity to increase your compound growth. The fix is to automate an annual increase. Every January, bump your monthly investment by at least 3%. Set a calendar reminder right now. Now let us get practical about what you should do with this information starting today. Here is your action plan, and I want you to take the first step before this video ends. Today, and this should take less than 10 minutes, I want you to open a compound interest calculator. There are dozens of free ones online. Just search compound interest calculator. Plug in your current age, your target retirement age, how much you can invest monthly starting right now, even if it is just $20, and an expected return of 7%. Look at the final number. Then change your starting age to 5 years later and look at the difference. Feel the pain of waiting. Let that motivate you. This week, I want you to do 3 things. First, open an investment account if you do not have one. Fidelity, Vanguard, and Schwab all offer free accounts with no minimums. Second, set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to this investment account. Automate it so you never have to think about it. Third, choose a simple target date index fund or a total stock market index fund. Do not overthink this. A target date fund automatically adjusts your investments as you age and is perfectly fine for getting started. This month, build the system that will run on autopilot for the next 30 years. Review your budget and find one expense you can redirect to investments. It could be one streaming service, one fewer restaurant meal per week, one less impulse purchase. Calculate the compound value of that redirected money over 30 years. When you see that your $12 monthly streaming service equals over $14,000 in lost retirement wealth, cutting it becomes easy. Now let me answer the question I planted at the beginning of this video. The one strategy that most financial advisors never tell their clients, the strategy that can shave a decade off your wealth-building journey. It is this. The gap between your income and expenses matters infinitely more than your investment returns. Here is what I mean. Most people obsess over finding investments with higher returns. They spend hours researching stocks, crypto, real estate, hoping to bump their returns from 7% to 10%. But increasing your returns from 7 to 10% while investing $300 monthly adds about $130,000 over 30 years. Solid, right? Now watch this. Keeping your returns at 7% but increasing your monthly investment from $300 to $600 adds $340,000 over 30 years. Increasing your investment amount by finding ways to spend less or earn more is 2.5 times more powerful than chasing higher returns. This is why the wealthy focus on growing the gap between income and expenses. Every extra dollar invested has compound potential. Your investment return is largely out of your control. The market does what the market does, but your savings rate is entirely within your control. Focus your energy where you have the most leverage. Here are your 3 key takeaways to remember. First, time is your most valuable asset. Start investing today, no matter how small the amount, because compound growth rewards the early bird exponentially. Second, compound interest works in both directions. Make sure your money is working for you, not against you through high-interest debt. Third, your savings rate beats your return rate. Focus on widening the gap between what you earn and what you spend for maximum compound effect. Comment below and tell me which of these 3 strategies you are going to try first. I read every single comment and I will personally reply to as many as I can. In tomorrow's video, I am revealing exactly how to build a portfolio that maximizes compound growth while minimizing taxes, something that took me years to figure out and most people never learn. Subscribe right now so you do not miss it.